Welcome to In the Terminal, a White Plains Youth Bureau podcast. Exploring aviation, inspiring futures, and taking dreams to new heights. Now, let's get into it.
You're listening to In the Terminal, a White Plains Youth Bureau podcast live from the Aviation Expo. We're talking with youth and aviation professionals about planes, careers, and big dreams. My name is Ismael Toma, and I'm here with Ray Ruiz. And we're just going to start off with questions. So, what first got you interested in aviation, and how old were you when that spark started?
So my aviation experience, first started when I was 6 years old. I started working with my dad in American Airlines. For me, not so much working, but it's volunteering. They had a bunch of different events that exposed me to the aviation community, kids' days events, different like Bring Your Kids to Work Day, and a bunch of events back in the day. So that brought me a lot of experience over the time. And then for me being, 6 years old, so young, I couldn't work at the time. It definitely took me a while to get up there to where I wanted to be, especially see myself working in the airline industry. So now that I'm here, at 19 years old, a bigger age gap, now I'm actually working in the airline industry. I do very much like the industry, starting off so young. I was able to have that opportunity to gain the experience over time, and, I actually see myself in the career.
Okay, so what does your dad do in the aviation industry?
So he's on the fleet service aspect of it, so we're below wing. As much as servicing planes, you do everything. Make sure to carry out the flight plan, make sure that flight leaves on time, whether it be loading bags, pushing the plane out of the gate, servicing the lavatories, servicing the water, making sure the plane has everything it needs to properly function, fuel, just every little aspect of it that you can have on the ground before the plane takes off to leave.
And is this something you're interested in doing, or are you doing something else in aviation?
So it's definitely something I'm interested in doing. Aside from my other career goals, I'm also in the United States Marines. I do like the aviation aspect of it. I'm looking to become a pilot one of these days. I'm trying to figure out my options still of where I could go for flight school and, different opportunities I have to see myself as a pilot in a career. But that's definitely one of my future goals that I would like to achieve.
And I know, first off, the aviation process in general is definitely a challenging area. So how do you manage that with being in the Marines and going into the aviation?
So even now, there's a lot on my plate. I'm a full-time student in college. I'm a part-time worker at the American Airlines, and then, I'm in the United States Marines. A lot to, manage at one point, but, the discipline that was instilled in me, created that grind, to try to manage my time really well. It's all happened to work in my favor where I fit it all in the schedule perfectly. I work in the morning. From there, I carry out my college. I go to school. I have my off days. That's my days I study, do homework. And then, working every day for the airlines, I get to get more knowledge and, learn a lot more about the airlines, different types of planes, different types of loading strategies, different safety techniques, anything that is going to help me be a better person out in that area of operations field. Especially being next to planes, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it. Being tasked out with a lot, it helps me manage my stress really well. When some people stress, you can't handle well when you have a lot on your plate. For me, I like, that pressure put on me. It gives me a goal to achieve, and it gives me like that grind, that motivation, to try to succeed.
So obviously there's always ups and downs. So how do you deal with those downs and challenges?
So the downs, I try to mitigate the task that's going to try to set me back. So for instance, a deadline for an assignment, right? I may be interrupted by a shift for work. So I have to work my shift and I have assignments. So sometimes it may take me to stay up late to finish that assignment, to then work early in the morning. Sometimes it just takes me, to distract myself, give myself a break from it. It might set me down just a little bit. It might delay me just a tiny bit. But just giving myself a mental break, being compiled with all this work, having a break for my own mind, it allows me to, perform at my best. I feel like mental stress and mental emotions is very important for somebody to function perfectly every day. So I definitely say giving myself a break, sometimes zoning out, listening to music. It just allows me to distract my mind from reality and lets me be cool in my own zone. From there, I get right back to work.
And since you are obviously in college and multitasking all of that, what are some advice you'd give to the youth watching about college admissions, financial aid, how to go about the college lifestyle?
I say, ask questions. And no question is a dumb question. That was something that was put out to me throughout all of my high school. I was always there asking questions. Financial aid is a very big part. A lot of people tend to stress over that. I say do your research. Make sure, you do your documents properly. If you have a question about that, seek that help that you need to make sure you get your proper documents. Because, college is something that's important. But, better yet, you want to have that opportunity to be able to attend a college or attend a trade or whatever, you find yourself that you want to do. I say ask questions. Make sure you have all the knowledge you need to succeed, and, you'll be a successful person in life.
So what have you done so far to get you to where you are now?
So for me, is staying true to my mission or my goals. Joining the military has always been one of my goals, and working next to my father has been another. I did get to accomplish both of those goals. It takes time, but it takes that motivation, that grind as well. You have to want it in order to get it. So, if you put that mindset and you follow through with that process, you're going to do really well. You're going to get to where you want to be. Set your mind on something and then shoot for it. You're going to get to where you want to be in no time.
And obviously, aviation is a big umbrella term. So how did you know what specialty you wanted to go into or in the process of exploring?
So for aviation, being exposed to it for so long, it sank down to me. I got to meet so many different people along the way. I met captains, I met crew chief managers. There's so many people that, inspired me for the aviation aspect of it. It's something that either grows on you or, you grow to love it. So it's like, for me, it didn't take long for me to be exposed to a plane or a person that knows so much about a plane for me to love it. I've seen it. Being around them just, it boosts my morale and it allows me to be myself. I love going to work every day, doing what I do, make people happy, make sure they're traveling safe. So aviation just, it's kind of my home. Just being exposed to it for so long, it just, grew over me, and it's like, hey, this is where your home is.
So what are some things you've maybe been advised or told that you kind of kept with you to keep you pushing or just keep on going?
Like I mentioned before, stay mission oriented. You might get sidetracked by a bunch of different setbacks. It might be a wrong time, or it might be, something might set you back, but you're just gonna overcome. We learn mostly from our losses than our wins. There's anything that you lose from, you learn how to encounter it so that next time you don't lose from it again. So I definitely say, pay attention to what sets you back the most so that you overcome it when it appears again.
And finally, overall, what advice would you give to the youth watching, whether it be with college life, aviation, or anything in general?
Whatever you want to do, I say do it. If you want to become a pilot, don't let nobody tell you different, because in your mindset, once you set that goal, you're going to be able to accomplish it. Take time, take time to acknowledge what you want to do. Don't rush so much to get into a career. Some people make that mistake where they rush into a career, don't like it, and don't have a backup plan. You always need a plan B. Have the backup plan there just in case nothing falls through. You always have something else to rely on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So thanks for listening to In the Terminal, brought to you by the White Plains Youth Bureau. We hope you feel inspired. Until next time, keep looking up. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into our show. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, as your support will help us grow. If you're interested in joining the White Plains Youth Bureau Aviation Program or any related programs, please email us at wpybaviation@gmail.com. Until next time, keep looking up.